Welcome to Grief Uprooted, a podcast dedicated to sharing your grief stories. Together, we embark on the mystery of one's grief journey as they learn to live, heal, and be courageous in a world rooted in trauma. Join myself, Christine, in an open discussion to help you uproot the grief in all our lives. I am an award winning author, professional speaker, and humanitarian in the field of grief and trauma. I want you to be part of the discussion. Welcome back to Grief Uprooted. I'm your host, Christine Durnetter-Landon. Every year, I like to go on like a mini sabbatical. Actually, in a book authored by Alison Braithwaite, in her own words, there's a chapter about myself and how I take care of myself during grief and during times in my career that I just need to let go. I often say tears will run down my face. I witness and am honored with so many stories of grief that sometimes my soul just hurts and it needs to let go. And one of the ways I do this is by going on a sabbatical, a mini sabbatical. So I will take off usually between 3 to 5 days and be on my own. But this time, I decided to do something a little different. I decided to go and get my level 1 and 2 Reiki. This is something I have went actively to um, for healing, for energy, rebalancing of my chakras. And in today's episode, we're going to dive in to what my experience was like on a 3-day retreat with 10 amazing women who all are like minded in healing, energy, and how that could help you with your grief, and how this will actually add to what I do and the services I bring to my clients. And kind of to skip to the end, definitely going back to become a Reiki Master. Absolutely loved it. So let's dive in and kind of take a peek at what it's like to bring Reiki to the world of grief. I'd like to start off sharing the time that I was introduced to meditation and my chakras. Believe it or not, in 19, I think it was 89 or 1990, I was attending high school, Dennis Morris High School, and I was just getting off my crutches after my brother, my only brother, Robert, had fallen into the Niagara Falls Gorge. He was 19 and I was 14. And 6 months after that accident, I was thought to have cancer in my right leg. It turned out to be osteomyelitis, which is a rare bone infection that the doctor coined to say was found in old people, and he was unsure why my body was doing this at such a young age. I had it removed and the bone grew back, but I did have a period of time that I was on crutches as a teenager in high school. And I very much struggled with the emotions surrounding the fact that my brother had died, but also my own mortality, like I could die. And that really became prevalent when I witnessed my family coming to terms with the death of my brother, but I was also witnessing them and myself come to terms with the fact that I could die. And during one of my classes that I would go to, it was a health class. There was a male teacher that suggested to me to watch on a VHS tape Shirley MacLaine's Open Eyed Meditation. And he was starting to bring meditation into our health class and introducing us to it. And, a lot of us kind of giggled, made fun of it, but I really took to it. And I went out and I got her books. And then I went back in and he gave me the VHS tape. And he said, take this tape home and watch it over and over again. What I loved about the Shirley MacLaine tape, and you really can't purchase it anymore. It is online. They have segments of it online. It's Shirley MacLaine's Open-Eyed Meditation, and she goes through all your chakras. So that's where I'd like to start today. So at 14, 14 or 15, I was introduced to meditation on my chakras. And thankfully, from this one teacher who must have realized I was looking for something to kind of ground me or gain an understanding of why my body was hurting so very much. And it wasn't until years later in university I correlate the effects of grief on the physical body. And this was introduced at a very young age to me. When I came out of my surgery for my leg, the medical doctor, Dr. McIntyre, he looked at me and he said, Sunshine, if you don't talk about what's inside of you, you're going to physically kill yourself. So it was like a repetitive message being kind of shined right at me. If you don't talk about what's inside, the body will start to get sick. So I obviously, with the crutches and the doctor saying that to me, I started journaling, and that in the turns out to be my first book, Where's Robert? But with that journaling, I was also doing the Shirley MacLaine open-eyed meditation on my chakras. So thinking that I needed to hide this all, because who was meditating on their chakras in the 80s? And I was a teenager. So I kind of kept all this to myself. I never really told anyone I was doing it. But it turned out that for years of doing this, anytime I felt the need to ground myself, or actually the birth of all my children, I actively used this tape over and over and over again to align myself with my chakras. So today's episode, we're going to start right there with chakras. What are they and where are they located? So we're going to start there. We are going to focus on grief in this episode and the healing that can come from these types of meditation, and exactly what my retreat was like and what I learned. So the very first thing we're going to do is there are 7 chakras. So we'll start with the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And what a chakra is, it plays a crucial role in energy. And with that energy, we have put a color and we have put an element with it and what we're focusing on. And when we take our meditation and we take all our energy and focus on this one area of our body, this is when things can start to happen. This is when things start to activate. So the number 1 is your root chakra. It's at the base of your spine. There is another name for it, but Muladhara, I think I said that okay. And it's red in color. The element that goes with it is earth. Focus is stability, security, and grounding. To balance this, you'll feel safe, secure, and connected to the earth. Now you can Google your chakras, you can look at them all, but I'm just going to go quickly over them. As a teenager, I really didn't understand any of this. I just really enjoyed the meditation and the focus of colors. The second is your sacral chakra, and it's located in your lower abdomen below the navel. It's orange. Its element is water, creativity, pleasure, sexuality, and emotional flow. When you're balanced, you feel creative, emotionally balanced, and open to pleasure. Number 3, solar plexus. This is in your upper abdomen near the stomach. The color is yellow. The element is fire. Its focus is on confidence, self-worth, and power. Balanced, you'll feel confident, in control, and have a strong sense of purpose. Number 4, your heart chakra. I always like this one. It's right about here. It is in green in color. The element is air. The focus is love, compassion, and forgiveness. You experience unconditional love, empathy, and deep connection with others when it is balanced. Number 5, the throat chakra. This is what I often see for my clients and working in grief, that it feels like there's a lump in their throat. The color is blue. The element is ether or space. The focus is communication, truth, and self expression. When it's balanced, you're clear, honest, confident in expressing yourself. Number 6, your third eye, located on your forehead between your eyes, right about here. The color is indigo. The element is light. Your focus is on your intuition, wisdom, and perception. When it's balanced, you have a strong intuition, insight, and clarity of thought. Your last one is your crown chakra. It is located at the top of your head. It is violet or white. Element is divine, universal consciousness. Focus is spiritual, connection, enlightenment, and purpose. When this chakra is balanced, you feel connected to a higher consciousness and inner peace. So when you look at this, you're really finding a line that comes from the base of your body right up through the center of you, just right here. And as a little girl, I would watch this open-eyed meditation, and there would be colors coming out of the screen, and they would just kind of come, and they would be in the colors of the chakra. And you would listen as Shirley MacLaine would guide you through to focus on it, and then to breathe in and out. And she guides you through this. And I found such a great sense of alignment with that. That is the best word I could give when it comes to focusing on your chakras. I think in grief, we don't really think about this. We don't really look at what's going on with our physical body. We're so wrapped up in the head and in the emotions that we are feeling that sometimes we forget that the body is doing things too. The body is feeling this. And our stories we repeat over and over again, but sometimes we get stuck in our throat. Obviously, the heart chakra is completely crushed, and that's an area where we want to focus and release. But also our stories can get stuck, and they can get stuck within our throat. They can get stuck within our abdomen. They can get stuck within our legs, our joints. We can feel completely disconnected to the earth. We could feel like we're 1 minute floating in the air, another being sucked right down. And this imbalance is combined with the confusion of our stories, the confusion of the emotions we've never experienced before that we are now experiencing. And we are running around like that pinwheel, where each point of that pinwheel is a different emotion and a different color, and it's spinning. Well, that's what our chakras are doing. They're spinning around and around in every direction. And you're feeling this imbalance. And this imbalance can bring on bouts of all of a sudden starting to cry, bouts of anger all of a sudden, depression, where we're just all of a sudden falling down, not wanting to eat, not wanting to engage with people. And then sometimes we feel this all of a sudden need to laugh or to feel a sense of joy, but then it's overcasted by guilt that we shouldn't be happy. It is such a time of confusion. Grief and human sorrow is such a time for confusion, but it's also a time for growth. I know that sounds insane right now, especially if you're in the depths of grief. But this is a time where your perception shifts. This is where paradigm shifts come from, where you start seeing things so differently. This is when the body can start to rebuild again, can start to heal again, can start to say, okay, let's put ourselves back together, but let's make it stronger. Let's make it better. Let's make it resilient. I've been here before. And what can I do to help myself heal? Your mind may be thinking that in your unconsciousness, but that physical body is really thinking that. And it's working. Your organisms and all of the things within you are working, trying to figure out how can we get this person up again? How can we start to heal? So in learning about your chakras, And that alignment, that is something that within Reiki, we can focus on within just focusing on in meditation of our chakras and bringing those back in alignment will offer you such a sense of healing. So, when we look at the chakras, and that is something that I was introduced to as a young girl, I decided to take a sabbatical that I usually go off by myself, do a little fishing, ride my motorcycle, just sit in a cabin, journal. It's a time that I absolutely love. I look forward to um, just to let go. And I do meditate. I bring my open eye meditation with me. And I just kind of let things go. I let my body release whatever emotion it's carrying. It's often like I don't remember stories. I just feel. It's like I just feel. So this time I decided to go on a retreat where 10 women were, and it was for 3 days on learning about Reiki. And I have definitely had Reiki treatments quite a bit. I go to a Reiki Master who is amazing and helped me greatly through a lot of trials in my life. And at first, I was very skeptic. I thought, What could this possibly be?" I was well familiar with my chakras and my open eye meditation, but the thought of somebody being able to put their hands on me and that energy being passed through and that helping me explore my grief, um, yeah, that was kind of like, no, that can't be possible. I was kind of dumbfounded by it, but then I experienced it. I went in and we started to talk. I shared a bit about my grief and where I was at, and then I jumped on the table. And the experience was phenomenal. I ended up traveling within myself and exploring my own grief and my own past. And after the treatment, what I loved was being able to talk it out, be able to share what I experienced. And for my practitioner, Reiki practitioner, to share with me what she experienced, what she thought she saw, or how she felt my body was reacting. It was a phenomenal experience. So the thought of going off and learning about Reiki to become a Reiki master and add this to my repertoire for my clients was super, super exciting. So we're just going to take a small break and I will be right back and we will explore what the 3-day weekend was like. Hey everyone, I am at a retreat for 3 days. I will be diving in deep for grief and trauma and how it stays in the body. I am at a Reiki and somatics retreat. I'm super excited to be here to learn about all this. I was very excited in the pre-training that I saw all the things I have been given from my Indigenous grief camps that I did. Um, they're actually coming in handy here. I am so excited to put them to use and gain a better understanding of how our bodies need to heal also, and how we really keep that trauma and bereavement energy within us. So yeah, I hope to document this and share it all with you. So I just got here and now I'm going downstairs to meet everybody and have dinner. So super excited. Take care, guys. Bye. Often when we are looking for grief and trauma recovery support, we are talking. We're talking a lot. We're sharing our story over and over and over again, ruminating on it, trying to gain an understanding of exactly what happened. Where is our grief lying within us? I'm excited to say that not only with that talking and that exploration of your emotions and creating an action plan that will lead you forward in your grief, I am now offering energy healing. We will be looking at where your grief is lying. Is it stuck in your throat or perhaps the green of your heart chakra? with hands-on energy healing. Together, we will not only explore your story, we'll explore where your energy is kept within your body, offering you the ability to release that energy, to release that hurt, and to make some room for healing and growth. Do visit griefuprooted.com. You're welcome to send me an email or reach out at 905 688 8009. I would love to hear your comments, your suggestions, and if you're interested, I would love to walk this path with you as a grief and trauma recovery support person who walks the path next to you. Okay, welcome back. So we did look at our chakras and aligning them from the top of our head down to the base of our spine. And now I enter into a 3-day weekend with 10 women to become a Reiki Master. So during our first Reiki session, I found myself in the hands of some masters around me, some professionals who have been doing Reiki for quite some time, and was teamed up with one lady who we connected instantly. Talk about energy. Her and I sat down on the couch. I immediately was taken by her. She was taken by me. Turns out we were the same horoscope sign. Birthdays were only a couple weeks apart. There was so much about us that was alike. Then, when our teacher decided to put all the names in a bowl and said, well, let spirit choose who partners were, of course, it was her and I. So I jumped on the table and started the Reiki treatment. My very first Reiki treatment, I started to feel very, very emotional. Really couldn't say what the story was. I just felt this sense of not being alone. And when my heart chakra would start to fill up, I loved how the Reiki practitioner, the other lady that was working with me, would kind of just do this nice little tap on my chest and would say the words release. And that gave me permission to just kind of cry. And I would feel my throat chakra open up and just let me cry. And I really didn't have a story for that. I didn't have a purpose, I guess, for the tears, but it felt amazing. It felt amazing to just let go. Now, there were some points that when touched, such as my hand, I felt a sense of someone being there with me. And what I was fascinated about was that for me, these 3 days were full on release, was just absolute release for me. And I was given a conduit to do this, which was amazing. And I found my body really letting go and just letting everything kind of happen. My legs felt like jelly, and I loved floating. I could felt the sensation of floating once my tears had subsided. And then when I was grounded, that means by grabbing the feet and pulling you back down, and kind of pulling that chakra back into alignment. I never wanted to come back. I just wanted to stay out there. That was a lot of fun for me, and it felt um, so relaxing and clear. Clear is such a great word for this. You feel this sense of clarity within yourself. When I started to do my first Reiki treatment on other people, I was shocked on how easily I could recall the symbols. And I like to do the symbols within the air and then start working with the client. Kind of follow my intuition with it too. There is a practice to it, and placements of hands. And I really could follow another person. I was shocked on how easily and comfortable this was for me and what I could bring to that. I do often talk about the gift of the seeing and the ability to see spirits who have passed, and read people's auras. So this really added to that for me because here I had a open client who wanted to explore this, and I was more than willing to also explore their loved ones who had died and what we could learn from them and what were some of the messages that were coming through. Um, just absolutely phenomenal. We started to combine our Reiki treatment with the choice of cards. And the cards were all sorts of cards in helping read and bring messages. So, one of the activities we did was do a Reiki session, and then the client would choose a card. I found this exceedingly helpful for engaging in conversation and for being able to um, really allow an emotional release, but not only through our bodies, but the client could then verbalize that, which was something very, very valuable, especially when we're talking about grief. Um, Being able to put the story there, but also allowing our physical body to release this energy we're carrying. Um, it was a huge impact. Not only myself, but others who were grieving there also. So the next day we did our attunements for level 1 and 2. Um, and that happened over the next couple days. And we did some meditations, followed our Akasha records, our past lives, so much that we explored. And it was just surreal to me. It felt like home. That's the best word I can say. It felt like home. Um, And what I found was that the practice of Reiki came so easily to myself, which really told me that this was the place that I should be. This is where um, I need to be. So I'm definitely going back for my Reiki Masters. I have 1 and 2 right now, and I'm combining that with the elements that I already offer as a grief and trauma support recovery support specialist. That's a mouthful, but I'm adding it to my grief and trauma work with my clients, and with my presentations as a professional speaker and my workshops, really diving into how the body is carrying this energy and how we can release it. So that's the next area that I want to go into. Um, the 3 days I thought were phenomenal. And it wasn't only because of the engagement of Reiki and the knowledge I was gaining, the meditation. Um, it was the kinship of other women, being there with like-minded people. We see this in grief all the time, and definitely, in the works is a grief and trauma recovery um, getaway for 3 days, just like this. I think that that would be so valuable for the bereaved to learn about Reiki and elements that would help them through their grief. Also, all the other aspects that we explore, which is the rumination process, our emotions, and really have a retreat for the bereaved. And you can do Reiki on yourself. That's the best part. So this can be an element where you don't have to become a Reiki master, but I can aid you in learning how to help your own body release these emotions, release this energy that it is carrying. So that's definitely coming, and you are more than welcome to reach out to me if you would like a Reiki treatment or you would like to explore this a little bit more. Always open for that. So what does Reiki really bring to the person who's bereaved or grieving? Obviously, emotional release. This is absolutely the number one that happened to me for these 3 days. Suppressed emotion is stored in the body, and when grief often carries layers, and that's the best way I can explain it. So when we're grieving, we have these layers of anger, pain, guilt, sadness, um, and other emotions that you could add in there that just kind of go like layers. And that energy it's hard to move through all those layers. So if you were to imagine all these layers doing this, and then you have these chakras going up, how are they gonna, whoop, let's go this way to avoid some anger, whoop, let's go this way to avoid some sadness. So you're not in a line. Um, Obviously with grief, we're completely unaligned, but with the meditation and the Reiki, we can pull you back into alignment. So when we have these layers, what happens is it's pushed down. So with Reiki, the number one thing, and the one thing that really stood out for me in these last 3 days, was this emotional release. This tapping on my chest, let it out, release. And I could just, huh, and I would end up crying. At one point, I ended up just coughing, and it was my body's way of just saying, there goes another layer, there goes another layer, there goes another layer, which then all of a sudden the chakras can align because the layers are slowly leaving, slowly going. Um, Another thing that Reiki can bring to bereaved or grieving individuals is calming of the mind. Now, um, I'm often teased about, you must be ADHD because my mind is always all over the map. Um, my way of releasing and calming my mind is I love cleaning my home or organizing, sorting things. That's usually when people are like, oh, she's writing another book or she's upset, something's going on. The other is riding my motorcycle, boxing, very physical, walking. For me, this retreat was tough to actually go, you're going to sit down and calm your mind. But what I found was this whole playground within my own mind that, my spirit animal, which happened to be a bear, appears, and I don't need to be running outside. I don't need to be doing all this physical activity. I'm just enthralled with the people in my own head and the fact that I was receiving messages. Um, and very moving messages that I needed to hear. And Reiki's soothing energy encourages the mental clarity and calmness, helping the mind to settle and regain a sense of control. The calmness can aid in reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, PTSD, associated with that deep loss. So, obviously, for myself, being my 24-year-long career in grief and trauma, PTSD is definitely something I experience and a lot of my clients experience, and a lot of my colleagues experience. But this gave me a sense of calmness, which offered that clarity I was talking about, just causing you to be able to look at things a little clearer. Number three, balancing energy. And I know that sometimes when it's not tangibly seen, we go, what are you talking about? But I know that all of you have experienced emotions, can feel when you walk up to somebody, that person feels good to me. That person doesn't feel good to me. That's our intuition. And that intuition is all about energy. Everything is about energy. So when we are in grief, the body's energy is leaving. It is leaving us, and we're feeling drained and disconnected. I often tell people grief is so much work. Like, you wouldn't believe how much work it takes to feel all those emotions, trying to figure out all those things in your head, and all these blockages start coming in. Those layers are just blocking, 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 and it's pushing down. And, you know, you need to start to feel more stable and resilient in coping with this grief and this loss. And that balancing of energy is so important. One of the things I noticed at the retreat was we were sitting and meditating and doing Reiki treatments on each other. And what got me was the amount of food we consumed. We were starving and we were constantly eating. And that was another thing that was absolutely beautiful, that the lady who was leading it had lots of food for us. This was, you could go into the fridge and get what you needed to eat, and very healthy food. But it was great that it was acknowledged that you're going to be hungry. And when we grieve, that's why people bring you food. That's why when somebody hears somebody has died, they will bring the family a big lasagna or something. Um, very, very common in when healing and helping each other grieve. Food is super important. And it was very important at this retreat because the energy that would it used to meditate and to stay focused and to really go within yourself and explore, this brought up so many different emotions for you. So you found yourself crying and you found yourself pondering, and then you found yourself going, yeah, I'm a little bit mad at this and that. Um, that all uses energy, and that's energy we need to balance, and we need to be able to feel that sense of resilience in helping us cope with it all. And to also feed ourselves during that time too, and understand that balancing energy and grief, it's a lot of work, very much. The next is fostering a connection and acceptance. And I think where this really plays is where I mentioned earlier that when we grieve, there's often a paradigm shift. There's often perception changing, and that perception could change for good or bad. I understand that. But when we're fostering connection and acceptance, um, we're looking at that self-compassion component, and really going deeper within ourselves, because now we're starting to feel things we've never felt before on a much deeper level. We're starting to see things differently, and our unconscious sometimes becomes conscious. So all of a sudden, all these unconscious things that we did as a child or we experienced are starting to filter through to the front, and they're becoming conscious, and we're becoming aware of them now. And this can cause us to feel a disconnect. So with Reiki, we're fostering that connection and acceptance back. And it gives you that comfort and insight into the cycles of life and death, and that this is a process that goes around. Um, and I integrate that with my clients with our emotional work that we do, our pinwheels of emotion, and going out to nature and experiencing how we can see the life cycle happening right before us. So with Reiki, it's bringing you one step closer to that connection to the earth and that connection and acceptance of this is the process in life. The other is physical relief. This is huge. I did not realize how big this was until I got home. Now, this retreat happened this past weekend, so I'm still in the throes of experiencing what Reiki is bringing. And I even had a Reiki treatment by all 9 other women when I was there. All 9 women placed, it was like a group Reiki treatment. Um, Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. That was, I would say, my second biggest release. I felt with my second attunement that I really let go. My throat really started coughing, but with that Reiki treatment with all the women, it was like feeling an influx of love and energy from all these women. And that really just bursted me out. Um, and I remember popping up and, saying a few choice words as my language was like, holy. And that physical relief has been really happening throughout the days after that. Um, and I found that it's promoted the sense of relaxation within me and my natural healing abilities. And what I mean by that is taking that time to pull myself back when I'm feeling stressed or just needing to even go to sleep. Knowing those symbols to do and how to really kind of bring myself back into alignment is really helping me in that healing process. The other thing that I really found that it did for the physical relief was my mental clarity. I often like to ruminate things and be like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. And I got to go, got to go, got to go. And I have found since then um, I've been able to go, it's all going to be okay. Here we go, step by step. And that's been pretty phenomenal. I hope this lasts. But I do have to admit, I've already went out and bought my Reiki table, and all sorts of things that I might need, which I already had, which I found super interesting because when I went to this retreat, I obviously brought my sage and my feathers and all the things that I have received in the indigenous culture, and other cultures where I have worked. And I loved that my tuning bowl, all those things, my energy crystals, they all had a place here. And so it's exciting now to be exploring this and really going down this path. Another thing that we ended off our weekend with, which I just thought was a phenomenal addition, was a manifestation letter. This was hard to write. This was to write a letter in present day and what you want to see and do. Now, from a grief perspective, I really wanted to write, okay, well, I'd like to go back in time. I would like my brother back. I'd like my grandmother back. I'd like my mother-in-law back. I'd like my father-in-law back. I would like my siblings back. I would like, and then I realized, okay, we're here in this present day. And what is it that you want to manifest? What is it that you want? And this experience, when we went around the room and we pulled our energy together, and we listened as each person read their manifestation letter. It was a lot of tears, a lot of tears, but beautiful stories, beautiful, beautiful stories. And it just really shared that element of, yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone in your grief. You're not alone in your journey. You're not alone, period. You could feel the energy, not only of these people in this room, but of your ancestors, of the people who have died, the spirits. You could feel everything. It was, you're not alone. You just are not in your pain and in your grief. Um, these physical beings are here. The earth is here. At one point, we saw deer and a fox run by that was being chased by a golden doodle, to the spirits that came to support us on this amazing weekend. So when it got to my manifestation letter, obviously one of my biggest dreams is to have a place that is on the water, and it is a place for the grieving to go. It is a place to bring healing to those who are grieving. And it offers all these elements, such as our ability to recover through talk, our ability to recover through play, our ability to recover through Reiki and somatics. And that's another form of our body carrying our grief. And I have explored that also and looking at bringing that to my practice, um, to our bodies and our minds and souls recovering in a way of art also, and dance and play. Um, wow, just so much. And that manifestation for me will become a reality. That I know, as I keep going down this path, and with the support of so many of you, it's it's been amazing. Just watching Grief Uprooted grow. This past week, I was in Hamilton at a um, a community grief get together. Really, that was a whole lot of people were coming together in the area of grief. It was called Circles of Friends, and how community can help those who are living with a serious illness and live well to the end, for the dying. So it's becoming so aware that grief is there. And, the podcast has definitely brought this forward, but I think that our communities are starting to do it now, and people are really starting to embrace this. We're also starting to look at alternative ways to helping the grieving. And Reiki is definitely one of those alternative ways. It's definitely um, a valuable practice that's been used for decades and decades to heal not only our inner child, but to heal that soul and bring balance and bring energy and alignment back to those. So, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. As I mentioned, you are welcome to reach out to me on Facebook. Do follow us on YouTube. You can also put questions and comments there too. Also on Instagram, TikTok, trying to remember all these social medias. And you're also welcome to just reach out to me. I am always here. You can send me an email at griefuprooted@gmail.com. Do visit griefuprooted.com. Robertspress.com has been released, and we have a lot of new titles on there. We're actually having a special. I think it's 10% off. You'll see some of those ads floating around too for the holidays that are fast approaching. If you want to get something for somebody who's grieving in your life, or you want to look at how you're going to handle the holidays a little bit better and memorialize your loved ones, that's a great place to go visit. Besides that, thank you so much. And do keep your questions and comments coming. I love to hear them. And as usual, it is only together that we grieve, and it is only together that we heal. Take care, everybody. Grief Uprooted professional grief and empowerment coaching are not to be used as a substitute for professional advice by legal, medical, financial, business, spiritual, or other qualified professionals. All our products and services are designed for grief empowerment through learning and sharing of one's lived experiences.